hope everyone completed first application. If you have, okay guys, if you are facing any issue, while installing STS plugin, just to change Eclipse version to next version. Just to change Eclipse version to next version, or reinstall Eclipse IDE. Okay guys, reinstall Eclipse IDE. Are you getting my point? So problem is not with the version you are using. You might have installed multiple versions of STS. That's why it is giving problem. Uninstall all versions of STS. Make sure that only one version is there, 3.9 something. Then it will work happily. Okay, guys. Generally, Maven will not give any problems, guys. Maven will not give any problems. Okay. If you are getting Maven related problems, okay, do one thing. Go to C drive. Users folder. Username is Naresh IT in my system. There will be one .m2 folder, guys. Just delete that folder. Any Maven related problems, you have to delete .m2 folder. Understanding my statement, guys? Okay. So then it will create fresh .m2 folder. Then all your problems will be solved. Right. Yes, STS plugin, if you install multiple versions of STS plugin, entire plugin will not work. You should install only one version, that is what? 3.9 version. Understanding my point, guys? Okay. Sindhu, you have to download the zip file. You don't have any access to Git. You don't have any access to Git. Okay, guys. Yeah, you can create Spring Boot project using any version of JDK. That's not an issue. Okay, Surya Kumar, how to uninstall? If you want to uninstall any plugin, guys, if you want to uninstall any plugin, go to the same Eclipse marketplace. There is an installed tab. There it will show all the installed plugins. Okay, all installed plugins. Okay, here we have an option, uninstall. Got it? Okay, we have an option of uninstall. Is that clear, guys? Okay, fine. Okay, shall we get into the discussions? I hope all your queries are over. Yeah, those who missed initial classes, nothing to worry. In Naresh IT YouTube channel, those videos are there. You can collect from YouTube channel. Anyone can share video links. Yesterday I have given to you people. Anyone can share video links. Please share those video links in the chat box. Yes, I got it. Now not required, boss. Stop giving. Yes, please. These are the video links, boss. Okay. So yesterday we have an entire procedure to develop Spring Boot first application, boss. Yes, we have to. Day 4 will be uploaded and will be given. Don't worry. Yeah, now listen. So we have taken small application like a dependency injection application. So today we will try to understand flow. But before understanding flow, in Spring Boot application, we access IOC container, we create IOC container. We access IOC container, we create IOC container. Yes. Spring application dot run method will take care of what? Creation of IOC container. So we access it. So now let me prove that. That is something related to annotation config application context, guys. So that's to know that ctx dot get class, because I'm referring that container by using what? Application context interface reference variable, but I'm interested to know the real name, boss. Okay, we can run this application. Control F11 is a shortcut key, or you can use run as option, your choice. Yeah, just no ID started, takes bit time. Okay, look at the class name, guys. Annotation config application context. We are not creating IOC container. Spring application dot run method is doing that work, and it is internally creating what? Annotation config application context. Why, sir? Array, we are giving configuration class as the input. Okay, while working with the configuration class, what is the class we use to create IOC container? In 100% code driven Spring application development, using which class we created IOC container? Definitely annotation config application context. And for the run method, we are providing client application come configuration class as the input value. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it? Come on, guys. Right. Super, boss. So shall we go for it? Okay. Now let me take a backup to understand the flow, boss. I need this section. I need this code. Just a minute. Here to here, I need a code. Copy this. Let's get into today's discussion. Okay. What is this? 27th. 27th. Development with flow. Flow. Okay, guys. So Spring application dot run method internally uses. Okay, guys, internally uses Spring application dot run method internally uses annotation config application context class to create IOC container. to create and return IOC container by taking given configuration class, given Java class as the configuration class. Okay. In fact, it takes current class, nothing but client application come configuration class as the configuration class, guys. Okay, boss. That is the story. Now I'm trying to give Spring Boot first application flow. Yes, this is not complete flow, guys, partial flow. Because run method will do n number of things, guys. Right now, I'm not going to highlight all the things. Complete flow, I will give after few days. After learning some more concepts, I will give the complete flow. By involving profiles, by involving application dot properties, by involving auto configuration, by involving runners. We have a runners concept also. So many things are there to take, boss. Okay. So this is client come configuration, boss. That's fine. Okay, let's get into the flow of execution. We run the application as a standalone application. So control goes to which one, guys? Main method. This is one. This is one. Next, what will execute? Spring application dot run method will execute. Run method will. Okay, performs many things. This method performs many things, including IOC container creation. IOC container creation. IOC container creation. Is that clear, guys? Okay. Takes this class, given class as configuration class, guys. Takes given class as configuration class. Understanding my point there? Okay, guys. Okay, what it will do, loads and creates the object. Loads and creates the object. When you pass certain configuration class, that class will be loaded and creates the object. You know that. Creates the object. In 100% code, we studied all these points, right? Okay, guys. Why we call it as a client come configuration class? Because main method is there, that's why client. And at the rate Spring Boot application internally having what? At the rate configuration. That's why we are calling it as what? Client come configuration class. Or you can call only client main class. You can call main class also if you don't feel comfortable. Loads and creates. Okay, current class object. Loads and creates current class object. Object because it is. Tell me, guys. Because it is also configuration class. What class, guys? because it is also configuration class. Right, guys? Hmm. Okay, now listen. Inside this annotation, don't forget we are having inside this annotation. Okay, we are having at the rate component scan. Yes or no? Na? Right. Okay. Yes. Goes. What is this? Comes to this place. Uses. Uses. At the rate component scan annotation of this at the rate Spring Boot application. At the rate Spring Boot application. At the rate Spring Boot application annotation. Okay. Right, guys. Now tell me, it will give first it at the rate component scan or IOC container. First, give priority to user-defined classes that are configured with annotations or at the rate bean methods. First, it will try to pre-instantiate what, guys? User-defined Spring Bean classes or at the rate bean method classes. First priority to user-defined classes that are configured with stereotype annotation. You already know that, right? Okay, guys. So now tell me here, number 5, pre-instantiation of singleton scope beans. Pre-instantiation of singleton scope beans. Yeah, that is first one, guys. Pre-instantiation of singleton scope bean. But it will search for them where, guys? It will search for them where? Right now, current package is com.nt. In com.nt, are there any user-defined? Are there any user-defined classes having? Are there any user-defined classes having stereotype annotation? Not there. So that's why first searches here, then it searches in sub packages, right? Then it searches in what? Sub packages. Are you listening my statement, guys? Okay. This is number 7. Sorry, this is number 6. Okay. Yes. In that one, we are having at the rate component WMG. There are not there. At the rate component WMG and no scope is there means what is the default scope, guys? If no scope is there, what is the default scope, my dear? Singleton scope. Yes, everyone knows that point or not? Okay, guys. Then what is this? Number 7. Number 7. Loads this class and creates the object. Simply loads this class and creates the object as part of pre-instantiation. Okay, boss. Now here what I say is it has loaded this class and created the object. With what name? What is the bean ID? WMG. So indirectly WMG becomes object name. Object name means reference variable name pointing to what? Wish message generator class object. Okay, guys. What is this? Wish message generator class object. Happily creates what? Wish message generator class object. So with what name, guys? WMG. WMG. Okay. So same number 7 I am giving here. Why? Because 7 only doing this one. Loading class and creating object is done by this boss. Okay, boss. Here what this? Loads the class and creates the object. How does it create? Like this it will create. Okay, now listen carefully, boss. Now listen carefully. Then it is having one annotation at the rate auto void. Are you seeing this, guys? It is having one property with what? At the rate auto void. There are not there. So it is having one date property, boss. Okay, date property of type local date time, of type local date time. Date property is there. There are not there, definitely. On the top of that property, what is there, guys? Auto void is there. Okay, now it will go to this property, boss. Yes, it will go to this property. So this is going to be 8, boss. Okay, guys. Detects at the rate auto void property in Spring Bean. Come on, Spring Bean using reflection API and Bean post processor. Come on, recollect, for every annotation, for at the rate auto void, at the rate required, Bean post processors will be there or not? Bean post processor. Yes, guys. Yes. Using reflection API and Bean post processor. Reflection API to scan through the code, guys. Bean post processor is to apply that functionality, equal functionality. Understanding my statement, boss? Come on. Okay, guys. This is number 8. So same number 8 I am giving here also. Right. Same issue here. Okay, now it will now take what is the type of the date property or local date time. Local date time. Now tell me, as part of user defined classes, is there any local date time with stereotype annotations? Not there. With stereotype annotation, is there any local date time, guys? No. No, not there, not there. Are you listening my statement, boss? Then it will go to what? At the rate bean methods whose return type is local date time. It will go to at the rate bean method of configuration class whose return type is date time. Yes, it found this one or not? It found this one or not? I want reply from you people, boss. Come on. It found this one. Where is this? Where is this? What is the number? Number 9. Okay, boss. Yes, it found this one. There, inside there, logic is there to create object and to return object, and that object will be taken as a spring bean with bean ID LTD. So this method executes, guys. This method executes, guys. Come on. Object is created. So what happened, boss? One more. Okay, guys. Yeah, first user defined bean classes will be verified. Okay, then predefined at the rate methods will be executed. This is the always order followed. Suppose there is no link between target and dependent classes, then also first it will give priority to stereotype annotation based user defined classes, then at the rate bean method. While teaching Spring Basic itself, I have cleared this point. Come on. Right, boss. Now tell me here, local date time class object. dot object with what name, guys? It becomes Spring Bean with what name? LDT. Okay, Bean ID becomes internally object name, boss. So this is a Spring Bean. Yes, this is also Spring Bean. Okay, now tell me what it maintains, boss. System date and time. Array, by default, it will maintain system date and time or not? Come on. Hmm. Yes, this is going to be number 9. Okay. Yes, this is going to be number 9. Is that clear? Okay. Now someone is asking, sir, at the rate bean method create object every time new object na. Array, for your kind information, that at the rate bean methods will execute only for one time. At the rate bean methods will execute only for one time. Are you understanding my point? Okay. Shivaya Kodam, can you take two methods? Can you take two methods having same name? No. Number 2, if you take two method having same return type, ambiguity problem comes and you have to sort out that problem using at the rate qualifier. Everyone, okay. Everyone. Hariprasad. Ambiguity problem comes and you have to sort out that problem by using at the rate qualifier. All these are basic things in Spring Basics, fundamental things in Spring Basics. But can you concentrate on current code? Don't guess what happens if that is done, this is done. Everyone, please focus on current code. Don't try to enhance the code and listen. This is number 9. Okay, boss. Yes, then injection takes place. Don't forget, all these things are happening. All these things are happening with respect to auto-void. So now auto-void completes injection process. Auto-void is there completing injection process. Okay, boss. Now tell me here, this is going to be 10th. This is going to be 10th one, boss. So, which I call it as dependency injection. Dependency injection. Super, boss. Now tell me, guys, for reusability, singleton scope bin objects will be kept in what? Internal cache of IOC container. Every IOC container, one cache will be maintained, boss. And in that cache, singleton scope bin objects will be placed. Singleton scope bin objects will be placed. How can you prove that, sir? Okay, now listen. You try to call wish messenger get bean of wish message generator one more time after displaying result. One more time after displaying result. And try to get by using reference variable generator 1. Generator 1. Sysout generator dot hash code space generator 1 dot hash code. Okay, try to print hash code of both, boss. Now you observe 737. That means what? Both the times it is getting same object. It is getting same object means it is saving object created first time somewhere or not. It is preserving the object that is created for the first time somewhere or not. Come on. And that somewhere is nothing but internal cache of IOC container. Internal cache of IOC container. Is that clear, guys? Okay, boss. Now, only singleton objects will be kept in internal cache of IOC container. Okay, guys. Subhagani Kurele If you don't know what is hash code, please complete core Java. Then please come for Spring classes. My suggestion is, if you don't know what is hash code, you are not eligible to sit in Spring classes. Still, your maturity of core Java is not sufficient to attend what? Spring and Spring Boot kind of high-end courses. My suggestion is, please wait for next batch, complete your core Java and come. Sorry, boss, I cannot take you without fund prerequisites. Okay. Okay, since you asked question, I am telling. For every object, JVM generates one unique identification number, and that identification number is called a hash code. And to get that hash code, we have to use hash code method of object class. Okay, guys. Internal cache of IOC container. Internally, it is like map collection, boss. Internally, it is a map collection. So what it will do? Yes, boss. First, any order. Order is not important. LDT, local date time object reference. Next, WMG, Vishme says generator class object reference. Okay. Don't forget, all these are happening because of Spring application dot run method. Please focus that. This is number 11. Keeping Spring Bean class object references. Come on. Spring Bean class object references in the internal cache of IOC container. Is that clear, boss? Or it is there with IOC container object itself. It's a map collection. Internally, it's a map collection, taking bean IDs as the keys and bean class objects as the values. Got it or not? So internally, it's a map collection. So map collection. So don't think when I say internal cache of IOC container, after all, it's a just map collection. You know that? Okay. Right, boss. Okay. Now, it returns after doing this entire hangama for Spring application dot run method, it returns that container object to us. What is the number? 12. What is the number? 12. And we are calling ctx dot getBean method. ctx dot getBean method. 13. 13. Come on, guys. Okay. It will go and search in the internal cache of IOC container. Is there any bean class object whose bean ID is WMG? There are not there. 14 question mark. Question mark means searching, finding. Whenever I use question mark, you think that it is searching and finding. Searching or finding. Yes, found available. Found available means what? It will get it. It will get it. Yes. It will get the reference. Super, boss. And calling business method, boss. Calling business method. Rajesh, this batch is for only those students who know Spring Basics. This batch is not for those people who don't know Spring Basics. Okay, then when should I join, sir? After 1 month, evening 6 p.m., new batch will be started, starting with the Spring Basics, then Spring Boot, then Hibernate. The people who don't know Core Java, the people who don't know Spring Basics, please don't continue in this batch. Wait for 1 month. Their new batch will start with the Spring Basics. Clear, guys? Right, boss. Okay, calling business method, guys, number 16. Okay, number 16, guys. Calling business method. calling business method, control goes to business method. What is the number, guys? Number 17. Okay. What is the current hour of the day? See, guys, here it is using injected. It is using injected data, local date and time object. Are you noticing it, boss? Super. Now tell me here. So I think it's a morning hours. According to our application, it's a morning hours. This line will execute. Number 18. Number 18, boss. Okay. So that message will come. That message will come. Number 19. Okay, boss. And we are closing container, boss. When you close container, internal cache of IOC container will be destroyed. The internal cache of IOC container will be destroyed. In that process, Spring Bean objects will be destroyed. Okay, guys. 21. Okay. Cache will be vanished. Cache will be vanished. Cache will be vanished. Right, boss. Cache will be vanished, and after that container will be closed. When you call close method, first it will try to vanish the cache, then container also will be closed. Next one. 22. Container closing. IOC container closing. IOC container closing. 23. Array, don't forget, all these objects are local variables in main method. Agree with me? Okay, so that all these objects will be vanished or not? All these objects and local variables will be vanished or not? Okay, boss. All the objects that are created in main method will be vanished. After all, we reached the end of the main method now, boss. Will be vanished. Okay, guys. Vanished. Will be vanished at the end of main method. At the end of main method. Okay. 20 and 22 is not same. 22 we started closing container, but it won't immediately close the container. First it will vanish internal cache. Come on. Are you understanding my point, guys? First it will vanish internal cache, then closes container, then all objects that are there in the local variable as the local variables of the main method will be vanished. Clear, guys? Okay. Crystal clear, clarity has come. But what I have given is partial flow, because this Spring application dot run method will do nearly 13 to 14 operations. I have not highlighted them. I have not highlighted them, boys. Okay. I hope you got the clarity, guys. So on public demand, one more time I am repeating this. Okay. On public demand, one more time I am repeating. Silpa, from my side, audio issue is not there. Check from your side. Check from your side. Prototype scope beans, other scope beans will not be kept in internal cache. Only singleton scope beans will be kept in what? Internal cache for reusability. Right. Listen very fastly. Number one, we run the application, control comes to main method. Number two, Spring application dot run method is called. As part of bootstrapping Spring Boot application, this run method will create IOC container. It will do many things, including IOC container creation. In that process, okay, it will take current class as configuration class. So it will be loaded and its object will be created. Okay, guys, it will be loaded and object will be created. Understanding my statement, boss? Okay, guys. Then what happens? It will go to @component scan annotation, which is there inside Spring Boot application. Spring Boot application. Understanding my statement, boss? Okay. What it will do? It's by nature. First it will go to all the packages that are there as sub package of the current package, and also searches all the classes that are there in the current package and verifies is there any classes that are annotated with the stereotype annotation. Current package not there, but in sub package we noticed one is there. In sub package we noticed one is there. Check it out. What is the sub package? com.nt.beans. Okay, what is the scope that is there, guys? It noticed one thing. Are you listening my statement? Okay. Sub package there is there. And what is the scope, guys? Singleton. So automatically pre-instantiation takes place or not there. Okay. In that process, it loads the class and creates the object. Super. And using bean post processors and reflection API, it noticed @auto-add on the property. Okay, to complete this injection, it will search for is there any Spring Bean having stereotype annotation whose class name is @local date time. Since it's a predefined class, definitely stereotype annotation will not be there. So that's why, since not available as a user defined, it will now go to what? @bean methods. @bean method whose return type is local date time. Found, boss? Yes. Okay, that method is called automatically. Okay, object is created, object is written. @bean makes that object as Spring Bean. So second object is also created. And don't forget, this second object is created because of @auto-add annotation. That's why this auto-add annotation takes that object and injects to what? Date property of target class. This is target class object, boss. This is a target class. This is a dependent class. Yes, boss. So injection is done. Completely injection is done, boss. So now those objects are kept in internal cache for reusability. Then container object is given back to client application. Client application is using that container calling ctx.getBean method. It will search for that bean object in internal cache based on the bean ID found. That object reference comes back to client application. Come on. That object reference comes to client application. Okay, guys. And on that object, business method is called. Business logic is executed. It is returning something. Come on. It is returning something. And result is displayed. At the end, container is closed. So it won't close container first. It will vanish the internal cache first. After that, IOC container closing takes place. Since we are in the end of the main method, all local variables, whatever local variables that are created, they will be vanished. Okay, boss. This is the flow. I hope you got goosebumps when I detailed flow I have given. I hope you are thinking with more maturity. Okay. So now let me prove that. Okay. This args is there to take command line arguments and to inject to Spring Bean. Right now we are not passing any command line argument. That's why I have not involved. If you want to pass, if you want to inject passed command line arguments to Spring Bean property, then we have to use these awks. Right now I have not passed, I am not interested to pass, that's why I have not involved in the flow of execution. Okay, now listen. Sir, if two at the rate bean methods are returning same local date time, what happens? What happens? Ambiguity problem will come. Method name should be different. Local date time 1. Local date time 1. Okay, bean ID also different. LDT1. Then what happens? Ambiguity problem comes. That means container will be in the dilemma. Which one to inject, which one not to inject. That's why it will throw the exception. It will throw the exception. What do you say, guys? See, guys, expected single matching but found 2. Expected single matching but found 2. Somewhere you will get it. See, it says that accept multiple beans or using at the rate qualifier. It is giving suggestion. It is giving suggestion, boss. Okay. Expected single bean, but 2 are found. 2 are found. Now come here. Go to this place, wish message generator.java. If you want to solve the problem seriously, what is this? At the rate qualifier. At the rate qualifier, LDT1 you observe. I kept LDT1. Super, boss. Now you observe problem is solved or not solved. Problem is solved or not. That's quite common thing, boss. But taking 2 is meaningless. Only for knowledge sake I have taken, boss. Only for knowledge sake I have taken it. Yeah, this is the one thing. And one more thing you please observe. I have given statement. IOC container gives first priority to creating what? Singleton scope bean, user defined Spring Bean classes that are having stereotype annotation, then gives second priority to at the rate bean methods. Okay, now everyone please observe. I intentionally cut the relation between target class and dependent class, and I will make them as 2 independent classes, boss. I'm making them as 2 independent classes. If I comment at the rate auto void, everyone please concentrate. If I configure, if I keep at the rate auto void, they are linked. If I don't keep at the rate auto void, okay, they are not linked. Now listen. Now listen. I wantedly commenting this section. Okay, I'm just commenting this section. I'm just keeping what statements ready, guys. IOC container create and statement. Now you observe in which order both objects will be created. In which order they will be executed. Observe this, was. Yeah, first what? Wish message generator. Then it is executing at the rate bean methods. Okay, now at least agree with me. At least agree with me. So both are participating in pre-instantiation because both are singleton scope, guys. Now they are both are independent. They are not interlinked. Now you cannot say local datetime class object is created because it is dependent to what? Wish message generator. Both are 2 independent. Without having any link, singleton scope beans are taken, right? So now it is giving first priority to what, guys? First it is giving priority to what, guys? User defined beans that are having stereotype annotation. Then it is automatically calling at the rate bean methods. Am I calling at the rate bean method or they are automatically called? Okay, guys. So what I am trying to prove is IOC container gives first priority to user defined Spring Beans instantiation. Then @bean method instantiation when beans are having singleton scopes. Okay. Then why did you comment this @auto white, sir? Earlier, @bean method is executed. @bean method is executed because it is dependent to target. So as part of pre-instantiation, not only object will be created, it will try to complete injections. In the process of completing injection, it searched for a dependent and this @bean is executed. But now I cut that relation. This is independent Spring Bean. This is independent methods. But still, first it has created what? Wish message generator class object. Then it has called what? @bean methods. So this indicates what, guys? IOC container first creates singleton scope, stereotype annotation based. Come on, guys. Stereotype annotation based. User defined Spring Bean class objects. Okay. Later it creates. Later it calls @bean methods. @bean methods of @configuration class, guys. Configuration class to make returned objects as Spring Beans. Okay, guys. Here also later it calls singleton scope. What again? Singleton scope. Now you observe. I intentionally take these scopes as @scope prototype. @scope prototype. Again, I am taking @scope prototype. Okay, now run the application. Oh, spell mistake I have done, boss. 1 minute. Prototype. Yeah, now you observe. Wish message. Okay, client come this one. Again, spell mistake. Huh? No, boss. This is right. Prototype. Now listen carefully. See, is there any pre-instantiation for prototype scope beans, guys? Is there any pre-instantiation for prototype scope beans? Yes, only for singleton scope beans prototypes. What is that? Pre-instantiation is there. What do you mean by pre-instantiation, boss? The moment IOC container is created, okay, Spring Bean class objects will be created. And if necessary, it will also complete injections on that Spring Bean, right? Okay, now listen carefully, boss. Now I am bringing this auto void back. I am bringing this auto void back, boss. I'm bringing this auto void back. Okay, there is an ambiguity problem. So that's why I'm using @qualifier also. Not a issue, boss. Super. Now concentrate, boss. Observe, we are getting the feeling local date time one is executed, right? Local date time one executed. And we are getting the feeling. Come on, guys. We are getting the feeling. Sir, pre-instantiation is happening on prototype scope bin. That's not correct. That's not correct. Pre-instantiation is happening on singleton wish message generator while completing dependency injection. While completing dependency injection on that object, on that singleton scope bin object, okay, it needs prototype scope bin object. That's why that method is called. That's why that method is called. It does not mean pre-instantiation is happening on prototype scope bin, or it does not mean prototype scope bin is changed to singleton scope bin. Are you understanding my statement, guys? So what is the point? What is the point? If prototype scope bin is dependent to singleton scope bin, are you listening my statement? If prototype scope bin is dependent to singleton scope bin, it looks like prototype scope bin also participating in what? Pre-instantiation. Actually not. Actually not. It looks like actually not. Okay, just IOC container is keeping dependent class object ready and completing pre-instantiation and injections on what? Singleton scope bin. Yes, scope is not changed, guys. And don't think that prototype scope bins are participating in pre-instantiation. Both are not correct. It's something like this, guys. It's something like this. You invited your friend for the party. He said, I cannot come because I have one dependent. You also called the dependent, but does not mean your friend is your friend. It does not mean friend is your friend. It's not like that. Okay, you called him, you called friend to party to because he is dependent to your friend. Because he is dependent to your friend. I hope you are understanding my statement. Yes, guys. If prototype scope bin is dependent to singleton scope bin, singleton scope target bin, singleton scope target bin, then IOC container creates dependent Spring Bean class object, dependent Spring Bean class object, along with singleton scope Spring Bean class object, but it does not mean pre-instantiation is done. Pre-instantiation is happened on prototype scope bin. Prototype scope bin, or it does not mean prototype scope is changed to singleton scope. Okay. Just happened to support pre-instantiation and injections. Pre-instantiation and injections on singleton scope Spring Beans. Singleton scope target Spring Bean. Target Spring Bean. Yeah, singleton scopes, target Spring Bean. Just happen to support or to complete pre-instantiation and injections on singleton scope target Spring Bean, boss. Okay, guys. Right. Yeah, actually, I forgot to highlight one more thing, guys. Okay. At the rate configuration class is also Spring Bean, boss. At the rate configuration class is also Spring Bean. You are not believing me, 1 minute. Let me make you to believe. Observe this. This annotation is internally having what? Spring Boot configuration. Click on Spring Boot configuration. At the rate configuration is there. You click on at the rate configuration. Oh, it is not giving sub link. No problem. 1 minute. I'll open source code. F3, guys. F3. Okay. Is having Spring Boot configuration. F3, guys. Spring Boot configuration is there here. This is having configuration. Superna F3. That is having at the rate component. Did you notice it? Did you notice it? That means even configuration class is also even configuration class is also one Spring Bean. Agree with me? Every configuration class is Spring Bean having default scope. Every at the rate configuration class is one Spring Bean having default scope. Having default scope. What is that? Having default scope singleton. So its object its object reference will also be maintained in the internal cache. Will also be maintained in the internal cache having default bean ID. Okay, tell me guys, what is the default bean ID was? What is the default bean ID of configuration class? Class name first letter lowercase, right? Class name first letter lowercase. Okay, now listen. This diagram is giving by assuming local date time is. No, listen. This is when I have drawn this diagram. Local date time is singleton. You go by that only, please. Okay, boss. Now tell me here. What is this? Is the class. Copy this. This is the reference. Oh, not copied, boss. Object reference. Object reference. Okay. What will be the bean ID, guys? What will be the bean ID? Class name itself becomes bean ID. The class name itself becomes bean ID having first letter in lowercase. Class name itself becomes bean ID. Ayo, now how to adjust Babu. Class name itself becomes bean ID. Yes. Boot pros. Boot pros 1 dependency injection. Boot pros 1 dependency injection application. Okay. Are you getting my point? But I have to prove it. I have to prove it practically. Now come to client come configuration class, boss. Come to client come configuration class. Here you observe that. Here you observe that. What is the class name? Current class name, guys. Actually, this is, we don't do all these things only for knowledge sake. I am showing. Yes. Yes, guys. Tell me here some bean. CTX dot get bean. Some bean. What is the class name here? B small letter, right? B small letter. Here class name dot class. Here class name dot class. Let me check whether it is coming or not coming, boss. Let me check whether it is coming or not coming. Happily coming. Are you able to? You are not getting any exception. What is a guarantee that only coming? Sysout bean dot get class. Sysout. I'm just confirming, boss. Bean dot get class. I'm just confirming bean dot hash code. Array, when object is created, then only class will be there. Okay, when object is created, then only hash code will be there. See, when I'm trying to access, we are getting it or not? We are getting it or not? See, a big class name internally has happened. Something it is doing internally, and hash code is also coming. Kema not Kema, boss? Kema not Kema? Yes. Right. So this is one more proof, boss. One more proof. Now listen, guys. If we don't provide bean ID to stereotype annotations based spring beans, then the class name having first letter in lowercase, not having taking. Class name taking first letter in lowercase becomes default bean ID. Becomes default bean ID. Okay, guys. If you don't give bean ID to @bean method based @bean methods based spring beans, then method name itself, what guys? Then the method name itself becomes default bean ID. The method name itself becomes default spring bean ID. Default spring bean ID. Why should I believe, sir? Is there any proof? Okay, guys. Rajesh Magar, only singleton scope bean objects will be maintained in the internal cache. Why should I believe, sir? What is the proof for it? Okay, come to client come configuration class, guys. Okay, scope no problem, but bean is taken, but bean ID is not passed. Bean is taken, but bean ID is not passed. Did you notice that, boss? Bean is taken. 1 minute. I'll do this one for this. because qualifier I used LDT1, again their problem comes. I do for this. I do for this. For anyone I can do. What is the method name? Create local date time. So let me try this. Sysout. All these are POCs, proof of concepts. Right? We do seriously, we may do, we may not do. But in interview room, they ask this kind of corner questions only. Okay, we generally take Spring Bean with Bean ID, but if taken without Bean ID, then what is that? To answer that, I am taking. Now listen. Local date time. Local date time. LDT. CTX dot get bean. What is the default Bean ID, guys? What is the default Bean ID? Method name. What is the method name? Create date time. Create date time. Come on, boss. Create date time. Local date time dot class. Local date time dot class. Sysout LDT dot get class. Sysout LDT dot get class space LDT dot hash code. LDT dot hash code. So run the application now. Happily run the application. Check it out, guys. Local date time came, hash code also came. Did you observe this? Did you observe this, my dear? Understanding my statement? Okay. Let me give complete statement for this. Go to wish message generator. Paste. Dot dot dot. Here no bean ID is given. No bean ID is given. Please switch off your cameras. Okay, guys. Okay, default bean ID. Default bean ID is. Please switch off your cameras. It is disturbing lot of people, boss. Mr. Ramgiri. Rajesh Ramgiri, switch off your camera. Default bean ID is wish message generator. Yeah, first letter lowercase. I hope you noticed it. Next, go to this application. Go to this application. What is default bean ID, guys? Default bean ID, guys. Method name. Default bean ID is method name. Method name. No change, boss. As it is. As it is method name, boss. It is simply method name, no parenthesis. No parenthesis. No need of keeping any parenthesis. Right. Okay. So I'm just trying to revise some fundamentals, boss, in Spring Boot environment, nothing else. I think I can show one more thing. System.println, system.sysout, sysout, all bean IDs, arrays.toString, arrays.toString, come on, arrays.toString. There should be one or other method, boss. Get bean IDs. There is no method. There should be some method, boss. Let me search entire dot get IDs. Huh? Yeah, get bean definition count is there. Listen, get bean definition count is there to know how many bean objects are created. Yes, there is another one. Get bean definition names. Names bean definition name is nothing but bean ID, boss. Bean definition is nothing but bean ID. Sir, why are you using arrays.toString? Arrays.toString is such a method which can convert any array into single string. Arrays.toString. ToString is the static method of arrays class. Arrays is a predefined class. And the beauty of this method is it can convert any array into float array, long array, double array, string array into single string. Because otherwise displaying array content directly not possible, guys. We have to take a for loop to display array content. Without taking for loop, by converting array content, array elements into single string, I am printing it. What is the method? Arrays.toString is there. Okay, now you observe whether those default bean ID story is happening or not. Yes, all bean IDs are. See, some internal configuration annotation processor. Spring Boot now so many beans are coming. Okay, guys. Now listen. Internal I capital. Actually, in the original class name, I is capital. Okay. That's the first one. Next one. Next one. Internal common annotation processor. All these are Spring Beans that are internally created by Spring Boot environment. Internal event listener factory. Internal event listener factory. Come on. See this. Our configuration class. Our configuration class. I said, Spring application dot run method will do many things. In that many things, some other objects also created, boss. I have not highlighted. But observe configuration class bean ID is there or not. B small letter. One more. WMG is there or not. Create local date time or not. Because no bean ID. And I have given bean ID to second @bean method. LDT1. LDT1 is appearing or not. My theory and practicals are matching or not matching. Okay. To know all bean IDs. To know all bean IDs of Spring application. Spring application or Spring Boot application. In both places we have that. Spring Boot application. Say paste. Oh, not that. This is the one line I have to take. Okay. So anyhow, we have done this and we'll try to find out count also. At least you realize Spring Boot application internally getting so many bean class objects automatically. Okay. Beans count. Beans count. CTX dot get beans count. Get beans count. Where is that? Yes. Bean definitions count. Spring bean definitions count. See the second one, guys. 47. Now you observe. That means Spring Boot is internally doing many objects creation or not. Spring Boot is supporting auto configuration or not. You take a normal Spring application, boss. Max to max, 1-2 extra objects compared to the beans that you configured. But look at Spring Boot application, 47. How many I have? I have 3 officially, 1 configuration class, 4. We are mentally ready for 4, right? 2 @bean method, 1 wish message generator, and 1 configuration class related Spring Bean object, right? 4 we are mentally ready. But how much count is giving, boss? 47. At least now you agree with me. Spring application dot run method is doing many things internally or not? Many things internally or not? You call this method in a normal Spring application, boss. Exactly how many you guessed, a same number will come. Same number will come. Okay, someone is saying that these many unnecessarily objects, our performance will go down. Let us assume we are using those objects related activities in our project. Performance will go down. Since we are not using, you are saying we will go down. Let us assume those objects related activities also we are doing in our project. That time, are you ready to say performance will go down? If that is the case, when Java application is launched, boss, JVM also do so many things. Exception handler creation, garbage collector thread creation, driver manager service creation. So many things it internally do. But most of them we don't use. Can you say performance will be degraded? You cannot question fundamentals, right? You cannot question startup activities. Are you getting my point? Suppose I am not doing exception handling, but still default exception handler will be created in JVM or not. I don't want garbage collection, but still garbage collector thread will be created or not. I don't want to work with JDBC, but still driver manager service will be created or not. JVM memory is a bigger one. Nowadays, RAM sizes are increased. Because of this 47 object, I don't think memory out of, it will say a heap memory out of heap memory. I don't think so. I don't think so. If that is the case, Spring Boot would have not become popular. Spring Boot would have not become popular. Today's application is without adding any starters. Today's application is without adding any starters. In future, we'll add nearly 30-40 starters in one project. That time, how many objects will come? How many auto configurations will happen? So I don't think memory issues are there nowadays. RAM sizes are increased, boss. RAM sizes are increased means relevantly JVM memory is also increased, right? Naresh, Mr. Naresh, Spring Boot actuators are there to track memory things. Okay. I think enjoyed today's session. Today I didn't discuss new application, but I have analyzed existing application. In my classes, flow is very important. Internals are very important. To bear that, strong core Java knowledge is required. Right? I hope you like it today's session. Fine. So don't miss tomorrow's session. Tomorrow I am going to discuss differences between any priority order of creating object of stereotype annotation. Alphabetic order they will be created, boss. Alphabetic order they will be created. Okay, guys. Suresh Kumar, only initial classes recordings will be there. After that, you have to attend classes regularly. Yes, Meenan, course fee is 6,000 including Angular or React JS free. And without that, I think 4,000 rupees. Just contact admin. Admin will talk. Okay. Ankur, system design means project design. Design pattern means solution to solve recurring problems of project development. Solution to solve. Okay. Solution to solve recurring problems of development. Today's lecture will be uploaded in the YouTube or not? mostly will be there, but I think starting 3-4 sessions only we keep in the YouTube, guys. Remaining classes you have to attend and collect. DP. Okay, guys. DP, design pattern batch, will be started very soon, and 25 design patterns I will cover, including Ganga 4 design pattern and JWE design pattern. Okay, Satish Kumar, if any batch started, I will inform you. Okay, guys. Sham Kumar, if multiple stereotype annotation classes are there having singleton scope, then what is the order? Order is alphabetic order, boss. Okay, guys. Sandhya, in the middle of the batch, once all registration formalities are over, in the middle of the batch, once your prerequisites are done, then those videos will be shared. How to get notes of everyday session from Facebook? I'll show. From Facebook, I will show. Yes, guys. Guys, you have to attend daily classes. Only initial classes will be there as recordings in the YouTube. Remaining all classes you have to come and attend live. 27th. Yeah. Like this in the Facebook notes will be uploaded, my dear. And this is the URL I'm sharing. But this is the Facebook group, guys. It's a private group. So you have to become member in order to access the content. Okay. We know the G. PDF notes is there in the group itself, you can collect, but that's the last batch notes. Someone like you prepared all paintbrush together as paintbrush. Okay, guys. Okay, design pattern batch is not free every time. Once in a while you will get free. Next batch will be paid batch. Ritesh ESC, if you don't know Spring Basics knowledge, this is not the batch to attend. You have to wait another 1 month. Evening 6 p.m. new batch will start with Spring Basics. Okay, with Spring Basics. Then you have to comment it. Okay, yes, Meenan. Multiple projects will be developed. Okay, every 1 month, every 20 days, one mini project will be developed. After joining this course, you can show 4 to 5 years gap as experience. Prashant Kumar, whatever fee you are paying, that we are charging only for Spring Boot and microservices, because you started from Spring Boot and microservices. Okay, guys. Now, to become member of the group, you need not to register. Anyone can become member of the group. Okay, I will accept all your members' request after the class. Okay, Mr. Zigzag name, in the middle of the course, once registration formalities are over, then I will share AOP's transaction JDBC classes. Okay, guys. Debashish Panda mostly will upload, don't worry. Yes, boss. I think I answered all your questions, boss. Ritesh ESC, then you have to plan Spring Basics on your own. When I then attend this class, but you have to work out on your own, or you can take Spring Basics by spending time in YouTube channel of Naresh IT. I kept some videos on Spring. You can watch and get it, but they are very limited videos. But though you have watched them, my suggestion is wait for next batch. When I start next batch, still come and collect the Spring Basics. Okay, guys. Right. Athos Prasad, that's what I said. If prototype scope bean is dependent to singleton scope bean, along with the singleton scope bean, prototype scope bean also will be created when pre-instantiation is happening on singleton scope bean. Okay, guys. When this batch will be completed, 120 sessions. 120 sessions. 120 sessions. Okay. Sheikh, yesterday's class will be uploaded today. Yes, Spring Data JPA is part of our syllabus. And PDF document of our syllabus is kept in what? YouTube, our Facebook group, you can see that. Okay, Shushant Kumar, how to behave initial days of company is a separate workshop. In that workshop, I will talk. Okay, design pattern timing is not decided. In future, I will let you know. Okay, guys. We know the last batch PDF notes is already there in the group. You can collect it. Just search in the group, you will collect it. Okay, guys. Which scope is good to maintain? That depends upon the requirement. Generally, most of the projects are what? Singleton scope beans. Most of the Spring beans will be singleton. In real time, most of the time we prefer singleton only. Yes. Let me commit this. Okay. Application 1 enhancement. Okay. Application 1 enhancement. Yes, this is URL boss, repository URL. Yeah, this is Git URL boss. In real time, we will be using singleton a lot. But Ravikumar Fonda, can you repeat this question? Seven one three is the last batch one. Akshay, you can share. Akshay, you can share. Please send it to my email ID. Yesterday code is committed. Hibernate is not part of this course. Hibernate is a separate course. Akshay, if you converted Spring Basics, send to me. Okay, prototype object will not be stored in internal cache. That's the reason whenever you ask for object, it will create a new object. Okay, boss. Thank you. I hope I answered all your questions. Ravikumar Panda, tomorrow also same link, or if link changed, you will get SMS message. If link changed, SMS message. Okay, guys. Spring batch. Spring batch is part of our course. Spring batch is part of our course. Pawan Kumar, in real time, while dealing with BO, VO, DTO classes, we will be taking prototype scope bin. Silpa, prototype scope bin never be showed in internal cache, but object will be created along with the singleton scope because it is dependent to singleton scope. Hariprasad, just now I answered same thing. Prototype scope bin never be stored in what? Internal cache, whatever the reason. But